Thank you and good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Council of Governors representation meeting. My name's Rebecca Metso. I'm the lead governor of LPFT, and I'd like to especially welcome any new governors that have started their term with us and not been to one of these meetings before. If you've already been to a council meeting, you may know that putting your hand up is a protocol. Within this format, we can't do that. So if you have a comment or a question, if you can put a C or a Q or your question in the chat, then I'll either ask you in to ask your question or I can read your question out for you. So thank you very much for making time to be with us this morning. We have some apologies that Amy has put together for us, and those will be put into our minutes of this meeting, and they will be visible for you there. In particular, I'm just mentioning Karen can't be with us today or Kevin, but we do have Amy with us, so thank you very much, Amy. Moving to item 1.3 of our agenda, declarations of interest. Is there anybody on the call today that has declarations of interest that aren't shown on our schedule of declarations? If they can let us know, that would be very helpful. And I will take that as a no unless you contact Amy after the meeting. Moving on to item 1.4, draft minutes of the Governor's Representation Committee meeting held on the 22nd of September 25. Seems like a very long time ago, but life has been very busy since then, I'm sure. Does anybody have any queries, questions, comments from our last minutes? I assume that those have been read, and if you can pop a Y or an N for yes or no that you approve those minutes into the chat for me, please. Thank you, Carol. I quite understand that you weren't there, so you can't say. So that's fine. Thank you very much. And moving on to the schedule of actions from that meeting. Do we have any comments, queries, questions with regard to the schedule of actions? And I understand that Kathy wasn't at the last meeting, so thank you for pointing that out for us. So I understand we don't have any questions, etc. So I'd like to bring in one of our colleagues, Amy Day. Amy is from the Wellbeing and Recovery College. Have I got that right, Amy?
Yes, that's right.
And you're going to talk to us in about the college and what you do there to give us a bit more information.
Yep, that's right.
Over to you.
Thank you. I'm ready for the slides whenever.
Sorry, Amy, just give me a second. It's all gone a bit wrong this end. 2 seconds.
That's all right, no problem. Thanks, Joe. Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to come along to your meeting this morning. So my name is Amy Day. So I manage the Wellbeing and Recovery College, which is part of Lincolnshire Partnership Foundation Trust. So just a really great opportunity to share with you all about the Wellbeing and Recovery College, what it is, who can come along, some of the courses that we have on offer, a little bit about our spring timetable and ways to be involved and how to contact us. Next slide, please. So we often get asked when we're out and about what is a recovery college, and you'll notice that we've recently retitled to a wellbeing and recovery college. And I hope that you'll have seen the comms that's been out about that and the work that we've done with the focus groups to rename. But a lot of the time we still get asked what is a recovery college. So it's just to reiterate that this is very much an educational approach for people to support their mental health and their well-being, or to learn more around mental health and well-being. And it really is that strength-based approach to be able to enable people to discover their potential and learn different skills to be able to look after their well-being and mental health. This is about living well alongside mental health and well-being challenges. And I think one of the key points around a college, a wellbeing and recovery college, is that we bring together that expertise of lived experience and professional expertise, and that element of co-production runs throughout everything that we do. So it's always really helpful to sort of position what a recovery college is at the start of any presentation. And you'll find, if you do a little bit of searching, that across the UK, I think there's about 84, 85 different colleges now, and they go worldwide. Really lucky to be able to connect into the different networks of colleges across the UK and worldwide as well, and bring that learning to the one that we have at LPFT. Next slide, please, Joe. Thank you. Just a little bit of background around the defining features of a recovery college. And I think it's really important to recognise that the college, we're not a substitute for, for therapy or for mainstream education, but we will sit between the two so we can draw expertise from both. And the college isn't a clinical service, so we can't provide therapy or the one-to-one specialised treatments that you'll be able to access that LPFT offer. But we can work alongside and complement those existing services so that we have that recovery focused approach for people and support with that self-management approach. And in terms of those educational principles, people will enroll with the college as students, but there's no tests, there's no assessments, there's no prerequisites to be able to do that. The educational side is there, that it's around that learning experience for people. And people can come along and attend any of the courses that they're interested in. And it's not referral based, so people don't need to be referred to come to it. We follow an academic year, so we have terms and we have half terms, and all of the courses will have really clear learning aims and objectives. And hopefully you'll have seen the new timetable that's come out that we've just launched for spring. It really encourages people to recognise and make use of their own talents and resources, and give people that opportunity to choose what they would like to learn about and recognise what will be supportive with them. As I mentioned, it's collaborative and it's co-produced. So this is very much about that partnership working between, the group of people who come together to design the courses, and then those people who will then deliver those courses. So it's that equal partnership where we bring people together with both lived and learned experience, so that it provides that mutual benefit for people and also for our students as well. So it's strength-based and it's recovery-focused. So we're looking at strengths and skills and qualities, looking at those possibilities for people to be able to build upon and learn more, and really celebrate what people can do, recognise those areas of achievements, but also those areas for development. We look at being as progressive as possible, so we work with our students to actively support them to achieve the goals that they might set themselves around their learning and explore possibilities as well. And in terms of that community facing, so we offer our sessions across the whole of Lincolnshire. So that we work in partnership with different communities across Lincolnshire, the different local communities, and really try and listen to what those different localities might need in terms of the offer from the college. It's often can be a conduit for students to maybe engage with those different community opportunities, and it works both ways as well. So really positioning ourselves within that community. And in terms of being inclusive, it's about people learning together and from one another. We welcome students, of anyone who wants to come along that's over 16, any ability, any educational achievement. As I said, there's no diagnostic requirements, or we have no exclusions in place. And we welcome people to come along who may be service users, who may be members of staff, mental health practitioners, carers, friends, relatives, anyone that's in those communities across Lincolnshire. And all of the sessions are free for people to be able to attend. Next slide, please. So I've added this slide in. We did some work with some of our volunteers and students and our staff team to really have a look at trying to put together our mission statement for the college. So this is to share this one with you, because every college across the UK and worldwide, although they'll follow those defining features, they may vary somewhat in their criteria. But for us, it was really important to recognise that we provide the opportunity to learn about living well with mental health ourselves and supporting the well-being of those around us. Courses are free and available to anyone aged 16 and over who feels they would benefit from learning with those who have personal lived experiences and professional expertise of the topic. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this reiterates, and I think it's really important because it's one of the questions we get asked over and over again, who can come along? So just to reiterate, 16 and over, in and around Lincolnshire, and all of those courses are free, and they all focus on well-being and mental health. Thank you. Next slide. We're really, really proud of the variety of courses that we now have on offer. If you have a look on our webpage, you'll be able to see all of the ones that are available. And you'll also see a description about each of the courses that gives you a little bit more information. So you're able to decide if that is the right sort of course for you that might be supportive. So they all have that focus on mental health and well-being. We have some sessions that are titled Let's Talk About It. These tend to be single sessions where we will introduce that key topic or theme and be able to explore that through group discussion and around the topics and themes that come up around that. So we have sessions around stress, around depression, around anxiety. And then we also have some specific ones that are around conditions. So we have Let's Talk About Bipolar, Emotionally Unstable Personality Disorder, and also autism, as well as a session around Let's Talk About Antidepressants. We have some creative workshops that we began to introduce within the college, following on from feedback from our students. And we recognise that not everybody learns in the same way, so be able to have different styles of sessions, multi-session courses, as well as those sort of dynamic and engaging workshops have enabled people to be able to pick and choose the ones that suit them. So our creative workshops, we have sessions where we look at that link between journaling and supporting our well-being, poetry and mental health, creative connections, and we have drama for well-being workshops as well. We have courses about employment, so to support people into employment, to maybe explore what the benefits of work might be for people. And we work with our individual placement and support team within IPS, and also with the Department of Work and Pensions, so that it's a real collaboration around the courses about employment. We have a specific timetable and sessions for courses for carers, which doesn't mean our carers can't come to the rest of our courses. Absolutely they can, but these will have a specific element that have really been designed and adapted to meet the needs of people that are in those caring roles. We link in with Carers First also to be able to offer these across the county for people that do access Carers First, but also people that don't. And there's a reciprocity in terms of that people find out more about the Wellbeing and Recovery College and about Carers First at the same time. And we have a course for veterans as well that we link in with Help for Heroes to be able to run that. And that is one that is coming up quite soon. So next slide, please. I just wanted to share some of the highlights for the spring timetable that's just launched. So our current timetable takes us up to Christmas and there are some spaces available. However, our spring timetable has launched now. The reason that we make sure that this comes out so that we've got a continuous rolling programme of sessions for people to be able to book on is, again, following on from feedback from our students. They like to be able to book in advance to be able to have a look at what's coming up and what's available. So we're really excited to be able to share with you that we've got some new sessions that we've been working hard co-producing throughout the beginning of this year. So we have a Let's Talk About It eating disorders. So we've worked alongside our eating disorders team and with their involvement group as well to be able to bring this together. And that is launching on the 11th and 18th of March. That'll be a session on Microsoft Teams. We've also been working with our mental health support teams and Healthy Minds training team to bring people the opportunity. So this is for parents and carers. So it's about emotional regulation and emotional well-being. So that's the session around supporting your child and yourself. That will be launched as a face-to-face course, and it will initially be in Boston. But as with all of our courses, we will rotate them around the county and change them from face-to-face to in-person, to online, sorry, so that people have the opportunity to learn in a location and in a way that suits them. We've also been working with the Lincolnshire Talking Therapies team, and again we're able to bring a course around staying well after depression. So this is a course that brings together mindfulness-based cognitive therapy approaches, but it is learning around how to stay well, thrive, and really embrace lasting resilience after depression. So that is an online course that runs over 8 sessions. And we were lucky as a college team to be able to experience some of these sessions ourselves, and the ability to be able to have that space and then those practical elements of the course have been really, really beneficial. And then a little bit around our veteran sessions. So that is specifically for veterans, and we'll be running at Sleaford for this this spring term. Hopefully you'll have seen a copy of the timetable. If you would like a copy, please do get in touch. Always happy to share that. And we have our email distribution list if anybody would like to be added onto that. Thank you, Jo. Next slide, please. And then we have our ways to be involved. So we talk about co-production and we talk about collaborative working. We really want to make sure that we're listening to the feedback that we get from the local communities across Lincolnshire. That enables us to be able to provide courses that are of most benefit to people. And that works both ways in that we need to be able to hear from people and involve people in everything that we do. So you can come along as a student. It's a really short registration form. It can be done online. We're happy to do that over the telephone with people as well. And we provide paper copies for people to be able to complete and send back to. So we recognise not everybody likes to complete an online form. That only needs to be done once every academic year. After that, we've now launched an online student portal so people can manage their own bookings if they wish to. However, if people don't want to register for that, we're more than happy to still receive emails or telephone calls with any questions or queries or bookings. So co-production, so you saw on the previous slide some of the courses that we've been working on co-producing. So being involved with us, if you have an expertise in any of the areas that we're doing, it's always great to be able to welcome people within to that co-production group. Any opportunities will pop out on social media and share internally as well for people to come along. We're currently in the process of co-producing a new session, which is specifically for people who are either carers, friends, relatives of someone who has attempted suicide. And that's in conjunction with Lincolnshire County Council. So that's one that we've got being co-produced at the moment. We have a whole list of sessions that we've been requested to co-produce. So please keep an eye out. We will be sending out a survey and a poll within the next month or so that we can hear from you which ones are important for us to focus and prioritise our work on. So you can become an expert, join us and be involved with us as an expert by experience. So that's where you have that lived experience of a specific topic or theme around mental health or well-being, or as an expert by expertise. So that may be where you work within the health and social care, and you have that expertise and that knowledge around that topic area. We also do, as part of our quality assurance processes, review our courses, and that's where your feedback really matters, because that helps us to make any changes that are required. It helps us to develop our courses and ensure that they are up to date, that they include all the needed information and education within those sessions. Thank you, Jo. Next slide, please. We're in the process of recently launched a Wellbeing and Recovery College link role. So this is within LPFT at the moment, where we're recognising that to be able to hear from both the wider communities, but also internally within our services, what is it that is needed? We want to work together with people within those teams to be able to raise that awareness and understanding of what a Wellbeing and Recovery College is and how we can work together. So really promote that college's offer and get it shared far and wide. To be able to share any updates or news that we have and vice versa, and really hear any feedback about new courses that would be helpful and supportive. Help shape that offer, within that locality. So we know a lot of our teams and services are based in different localities, and the sort of the themes and things that might be coming up for people within sort of Gainsborough teams that may be different from what's happening in Boston or Stamford. Really shout out and involve people in co-production and connect and link in with those communities. Well, but also make sure that is also a reciprocal relationship, in that if there's any training or support that people might need in terms of being that recovery college link person, that we can work with those people and offer that as well. So is it around increasing knowledge and understanding around co-production? Is it about understanding more about how to safely share lived experiences? We're looking at that sort of opportunity and that reciprocal arrangement around helping to support and develop people as well, to really value and recognise people within their roles as well. Thank you, Jo. Last slide, please. Thank you. So always helpful to share so ways that we can be contacted. So we have an email address. Please feel free to send anything through to there. Questions, queries, comments, any feedback that you may have. We will be adding to our webpage a new QR code once we have that established, so that if you've got any direct feedback around the college and its offer, we would love to hear from you with that. We have a fabulous team admin who covers our phone line between 9 and 2:30. She's very welcome to answer any questions or pop you in touch with a person that will be able to do so. And if you would like to find out more, please do scan the QR code, go to our webpage and find out more, or contact us. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Amy. That was absolutely brilliant. I've done quite a number of your courses in the years I've been a governor, and they are so helpful. I think you did one on sleep, which was really helpful for me. I think I probably need to redo that one again if you've got it running.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we have it online and in person as well for the spring term. It's one that I like to revisit and refresh on as well. I think that's an important point there. In the, you can't just attend, you don't have to just attend the sessions once. You can attend them over again, recognize that people's health and well-being fluctuates over time. And it may be that you've attended it once, but you might want to come back again, and people are more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, well, as governors, it's quite a good opportunity for us to be coming in on these, but also when we go out into the world and seeing people and talking to people, to be able to promote what you do. And I must admit, I've done that with my postman. His daughter wasn't in the best of health for one reason or another, and told him about this, and he said, "Oh, that would be really good," because I've noted that when I've been on a course that's been online, if somebody didn't want to put their camera on or speak, they're given that opportunity and they don't have to take part physically or
Yeah.
verbally. They can actually just be, which is really useful.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
But I'd like to ask Di Bailey into the call because she has a question.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bex. Thanks, Amy. I'm Di Bailey, Deputy Chair. I'm conscious we've got some new people on the call this morning, which is why I'm just saying who I am. So thank you for that. I thought it was really, really helpful. There were a couple of things that I just want to highlight, and then there was just a couple of questions, if I may. So I think the points that you made about the way in which the college is liaising and integrating with our individual placement support service, and also the mental health support team, which if governors don't know, the mental health support teams working to support young people, work into schools across the area. So I think the way that you're linking in with those sorts of services is really important in terms of helping people with transitions, which we know are really difficult. And I think accessing the college at those times, I'm sure can only be a good thing, really. And I took your point about the mental health support teams linked with the parents and carers. I do wonder, given that obviously the mental health support team is for young people in education, whether or not then there is more we can do in that recovery college space to enable the transition post 16. So that was just a comment, really. One of the things I just wanted to ask, and apologies if this is a really obvious question, but the timetable is really extensive, and absolutely your point about a blend of online sessions and in-person sessions is fantastic. But I just wondered about access to people who are on our inpatient wards. Whether that is possible and how that is facilitated, because I think once people are out in the community, you kind of think about Recovery College sitting with the community for all the reasons that you've said. But I think for me, I'd like to know that people who are on our inpatient wards, some of which have got a rehabilitation focus, are being supported to access the college. So I'd just be interested if you could just say a word about that. And my sort of question is, given the work that's going on in the trust at the moment around our philosophy of care and models of care, are we linking in with you enough about that work to ensure that anything that's going on in the Recovery College is aligning with the work that's going on internally around that philosophy of care and models of care going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with your comments and your questions around inpatients, and thank you very much for your comments and your feedback. It's really appreciated. So in terms of inpatients, so any of our inpatients are able to access our online sessions, and we work together with our occupational therapy services so that we share and we signpost those so they're available. We often get our OTAs or OTs will support our patients to be able to access those sessions should they wish to, and we make sure that the timetable is shared throughout there. We have also done some train the trainer sessions within inpatients to upskill both our service users and staff members within inpatients to be able to then have access to and deliver the college sessions, so that they've had that co-production, co-facilitation, recovery college ethos, values training, so that they can then take that, because we recognise as much as we would love to be absolutely everywhere, this is about working collaboratively and linking in with those different teams and services. So that's what we've done in terms of inpatients. We have also done sessions, sort of within the different services across the county. So if there's a specific need or ask and we have capacity, we can pop in and link in collaboratively with people. And also, I suppose, depending on people's oh gosh, my words have gone. If people are able to come into the community, more than welcome to attend any of the sessions as well, dependent on their leave. That's the word I was looking for. We have also previously done some work within Francis Willis as well around that train the trainer to again upskill staff members and service users as well, so that those skills are there. And then your second question, just remind me of that again.
Sorry, Amy, I was just trying to check in with you about the work that's going on with the Trust at the moment around philosophy of care and therapeutic models, and whether you feel, are we involving you as much as we can be to ensure that alignment with the Recovery College going forward?
Yeah, thank you. So when the trust strategy was launched, we, as a college team, we really had a look at the different areas and the different pillars, and we've had support from the executive team to really have a look at the healthy population pillar. There's an awful lot of the strands within that link in beautifully in terms of the college's offer. So we've done a lot of work behind the scenes around how do we actually make sure that around those different pillars and areas we're really linking in. So it's a work in progress, but what we've done is we've put together a 5-year forward that really focuses on those key areas around healthy population. So we started that work and we will be building on it and then working with comms to start and share those areas of work that we've been doing as well and link in. So
okay. That's great. Thanks, Amy. That's really good to know and absolutely fantastic work. Good on you and keep going.
Oh, thank you, Di.
Thank you, Amy, for your time this morning. I know your time's invaluable. But just to let you know, the spring timetable we shared with governors in tomorrow's Governors Fortnightly newsletter. So all governors will get to see that. And I'm hopeful that we should have a full rush of people booking on to come and see what you do. So
that's
that'd
fantastic.
be really great. And from one of our fellow new governors, Staff Governor Kathy Burton, the Recovery College team have provided sessions in older adults wards previously, and that they were very well received. And Debbie Abrams, I've done some courses too and can highly recommend them. So there you go.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just so fellow governors are aware, Recovery College briefing session replaced the one governor experience which we would normally have on our meeting today. We weren't able to get anybody for that, but it's really quite useful to find out about what brought you to becoming a governor, how you felt the experience has been for you, what could be done differently. And then in recent times, we've started putting the information from your sort of discussion about it into the Better Together magazine, so that people in our membership can actually see what brought you to it, might think, well, that might bring me to it. I might join in. And Michelle's went in the last magazine. So, get in touch with Amy, get yourself booked in for a slot on the RepCon meetings in the future, and it could be you in Better Together magazine. But for now, we're going to be moving on unless anybody has any other questions. I'll take that as a no. So we're on to item 2 on your agenda, recruitment and management of the membership. And I'd like to hand over to Amy Poole, 2.1, talking about our membership statistics.
Thank you, Bex. So this report here presents the membership statistics as of the 1st of December. So overall, the committee will see that there's been a significant decrease in the number of public service user and carer members as a result of our membership review. So as the committee will be aware, the Trust commenced a review of its membership back in the summer and asked for responses from members by the end of October. This communication was sent to all members that joined over 2 years ago. So naturally, we wanted to encourage those currently on our database to remain a member. We provided various different ways for them to get in touch with us, and we also sent a number of reminder emails. I'm currently working with the provider of the membership database to remove those members that we did not hear back from. This doesn't mean that they can't rejoin as members in the future. It just means that for now they won't be members. So whilst that work is in progress, we've not had the ability to produce the full membership statistics report that you're used to seeing, but hopefully that should be back in place from January. So our revised membership statistics are 294 public members, which is a reduction from the just over 5,000 we had before, 111 service user and carer members, which again is a reduction from the 1,200 approximately we had before. And we have had around the same number of staff members. There's a few further amendments to make to that figure in terms of recent starters and leavers, but all staff will automatically remain opted in as members. So our total membership now is 3,403, which is, like I say, a significant reduction from the 9,324 that we previously had reported on. So while we appreciate that it is a significant reduction, it was an important exercise to complete to ensure that our membership records were up to date and that we knew that our proportion of our membership was engaged. So we're now needing to shift our focus, which links to the next paper I'll present around the delivery plan, to recruiting new and engaged members, and we really need governors' support in doing this. And once we have the full membership breakdown report in the next meeting following the cleanse of the system, we will be reprioritising those actions in the delivery plan. That's all from me, Bex, in terms of an introduction, but happy to take any comments and questions from committee members.
Yeah, I have a question from Carol Hagan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol Hagan, Public Governor for North Kesteven. I mean, that is truly fascinating, isn't it? The drop for the public members, which makes me think that people didn't really understand maybe how they became members in the first place, what being a member means, and what the review was asking. I mean, that is such a huge drop that I think that's highly significant, you know, if you were to apply statistical tests to that. So it does beg, you know, lots of questions, really. And I think to be a member of something, sometimes people feel that it means they've got to put some input, or it's going to cost them something, or they're expecting some gains for being a member. I just wonder again whether we make it clear enough as a trust what we mean when we say that, you know, people can become a member. But I think that drop is so big that people maybe didn't understand what they were being asked. And of course, when it comes to public members, how many people did not actually return the questionnaire. But I do think it needs some investigation and not just to be taken as read.
Can I come back on that, Bex? Thank you. Yeah, so I completely agree, Carol. I think we have some work to do in terms of reframing our membership, in terms of how we advertise it, how we recruit and engage with our members, which links with something that Joe Walker will come on to later in the agenda item about how we communicate with our members. Just to add a little bit more context, we haven't reviewed or done a review of our membership in this way since we became a foundation trust in 2007. So whilst it is a significant drop, it's also a significant number of years that we haven't done this type of exercise for. And we have seen more recently in terms of our engagement that it has dropped in terms of the clicks on our newsletters and also the amount of returns we get of Better Togethers in the posts. So it's a surprise and disappointing to see such a reduction, but I suppose the amount of years and some kind of behind the scenes information we had makes it a little bit more understanding, and I can share some more of that if it's helpful.
Yeah, yes. I mean, yes, that's interesting. I do think, though, to me, it just screams a misunderstanding. I'm not sure at which point, but I just feel there is in that figure some misunderstanding. Okay.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. Bringing in Di Bailey, who has a comment or question, or both.
Thanks, Bex. Thanks, Amy. And I think your comment about, you know, we've not done this since we became a foundation trust is really quite telling. I can remember, you know, when we used to do a review of patient numbers in primary care, we'd often find that we'd got a number of what we called ghost patients when we really looked at, you know, at numbers, and that had a significant impact in terms of numbers of actual patients that were on our list. So it's not unheard of in the NHS that we can have these, you know, really different numbers at scale in terms of actual people who are engaging with a service. So I think for me, you know, and it was interesting, one of the things that I guess might be helpful to know is in terms of that drop, how many people have explicitly said don't want to be a member anymore, or I think if I've understood you correctly, how many people just didn't respond and so we've taken them off, because it's ethically there's an issue about how we hold data for people if they haven't engaged over a significant period of time, and that's absolutely the right thing to do. You know, you can't just, we shouldn't be holding people's information just because they gave it as in 2007 and they've never engaged with us since. So I think for me it goes to, in some respects it goes to Carol's question in terms of that understanding. You know, to put it bluntly, I suppose, are people choosing not to engage with us because they don't like what we're doing or they don't feel informed with what they're doing, in which case they might say don't want to be a member anymore? Or are they just, you know, almost, you know, just not engaging at all, really? Because I think those are different populations and are different ways in which you would interact with them. So I think going forward and thinking about that action plan, we might need to understand that a bit more in a bit more detail. And of course, you know, since 2007, you know, a number of the people who were members in 2007 sadly may have passed away since then. So, you know, there's all sorts of reasons why I think we might be seeing what we're seeing. One question that I had, and I appreciate that the you know, the landscape, we're waiting for more information, I suppose, from the government on, you know, the constitution for foundation trusts going forward. But I guess I just wondered what the position is constitutionally as a foundation trust. Do we have to have a proportion? You know, is there any kind of minimum number that we have to have in order to continue to function as a foundation trust? Or you know, are we still compliant, I suppose, with our constitution is what I'm asking. I'm sure we are, otherwise I'm sure you would have told us that. But then I think going forward, there's obviously that important conversation for the Council of Governors to be involved in, along with the Board of Directors, I think, at some point, about, you know, so given what might happen in terms of the constitution arrangements going forward, how do we plan to get you know, to get the membership out there, really, and you know, and move forward? But I suppose some of that will depend on what we know about, you know, why those numbers are so different, and also what ends up being in that constitution going forward.
All right, to come back on that, Bex.
Please do.
Thank you. So in terms of your question, Di, yes, we do have a set number of members in our constitution. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but we are clear in terms of the membership review. We do meet those requirements across our constituencies and our total number of members. In terms of that wider conversation around the changing picture and landscape of the NHS, that's something that Karen, our Trust Secretary, has spoke to Kevin, our Trust Chair, about, and he's along the same lines. I think they're planning on some wider discussions like you've alluded to there with the Council of Governors and the Board of Directors. Just to pick up a couple of your other points, in terms of the amount of people that we heard back from to say, please remove me, we did hear back from some people along those lines, but it was a small number of people. The majority of people that we're removing are people that we haven't heard from. Just to add a bit more context in terms of where we were at with our membership, quite a number of years ago, we used to move, when we processed the staff starters and leavers report, we turn our staff members into public members. We'd inform them of that and ask them to keep their information updated. But I think that's some of the where we've ended up going a little bit wrong in terms of not hearing from people. So we did stop that. Our staff are now removed when they no longer are employed by the trust and offered the opportunity to become a public member themselves, but not automatically enrolled, because when we were auto enrolling people, we obviously didn't have things like personal email addresses unless people came forward to us, which I think is where we ended up with a proportion of our membership that was disengaged, because we predominantly had home addresses, so they weren't receiving quite a lot of our communications and things. So there is quite a lot behind it, but yeah, hopefully that helps add a little bit more to it.
It does. And Bex, just my last point then, I think, is that I am assured as Deputy Chair, in terms of the what you're seeing as governors today, that from an ethical perspective, we're on safer ground, I think, than perhaps we have been otherwise. Appreciate we've got another piece of work to do, but from an ethical perspective, I think this is a tick in the box, actually. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Di.
Yeah, just before I move on to somebody else who has a comment, I was going to provide a comment of my own, is that not only from what Di said about people passing away, but we do have a rather large military contingent in the county who do tend to move around quite a lot. That coupled with our regular people in the community moving house, I can see those figures stacking up quite nicely. So yeah, thank you for all your hard work. I know it's been quite a task to bring that forward. So thank you. Walker.
Hi, Jo Walker, Head of Communications and Participation. I'm just coming back on a comment in terms of some context really for Carol, I think, in terms of the kind of, is it an understanding of whether people knew what they were signing up to at the time of being members, or are they clear on the ask in this letter? And I think it was probably, from a personal perspective, I think we went through a period of time very early in the 2000s when we were very newly a foundation trust, of going to lots of events, lots of things like the Lincolnshire Show, where we'd have goodie bags and lots of things that you had to sign up to be a member to get access to our goodie bags. And what we found is quite a lot of people would do that, but not really understand what they were probably signing up to. And I think that's a piece of work we need to do in terms of anything we do going forward to get our membership back up, is being really clear when people are signing up what it is and what that means, because I think a lot of our membership probably did it at the time to get a goodie bag, and so particularly a lot of our younger generations, things like Lincolnshire Show and things like that. So I'm not surprised that we've had the sort of disengagement and the sort of drop off of members sort of after this period of time, given the early years of foundation trust status promotion that we used to do.
Thank you for that, Jo. Thank you, Amy. Had we covered item 2.2? Or we're moving on to that now?
Yeah, moving on to that now, Bex, if everyone's no more comments and questions. Yeah.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So this report looks quite a lot different to what is normally presented to the committee. So the membership review prompted the need to relook at the delivery plan in further detail and refocus a number of those actions. So, as has been reported previously to the committee, positive progress had been made against a number of the actions. That positive progress is reflected in the report, and it's proposed now that additional actions are marked as complete, which you'll see I've highlighted in the last column in green and marked as complete. So for those actions that are highlighted in progress, the update column details the current position and how I'm proposing that we revise those actions and move forward with those for future iterations of the report to the committee. Whilst there has been a reduction in the number of actions, progress will still take place across all of our strategic priorities, and new actions will be added based on the committee's conversations and to track any priority pieces of work, such as those that we've discussed post the membership review. So the actions that we are proposing remain in progress for now are in relation to recruiting a representative membership, engaging with our voluntary community, faith and social enterprise sector, reviewing how we communicate with our members, which Joe Walker will discuss in a later agenda item, and also improving the profile of governors for greater visibility, both internal and external to the Trust. That's it from me, Bex.
Thank you very much. So any queries or questions? Is that a new question, Carol?
Yeah. Carol Hagan, Public Governor for North Kesteven. I can only refer to page numbers because it would be useful to have these numbered actually, because I'm just trying to find where I was making my notes last night. Looking at page 6, improve the profile of governors for great ability within and outside the Trust and to better represent the interest of members of the community. I attended a really, really interesting meeting about a month ago in Sleaford, where all those organisations in the south of the county, including private organisations and things that the LPFT do, met at the Riverside Church in Sleaford and were sat around in a huge circle, and everybody was talking about what they do. And I'd gone along to observe, but I became part of the circle, so I talked a little bit about my role as a governor and about the iLog, that people could use the iLog. So I thought if it was okay with everybody, I'd go back to the meeting in January and actually do a little tiny input about using the iLog. Would that be appropriate? And do we have, I know we've discussed the iLog a lot recently in our meetings, do we have a short piece about the iLog that could be given to people in the community to explain how they might bring up something that they would like to discuss with LPFT via the iLog? That would be useful. And then my other point was, and I think it was on page 5, but I can't actually find it this morning. As you know, I did some stalls with Sam Swindle at various events, Health Watch, for instance, and on the street in Boston, and they were really, really good. And we had to cancel a couple that had been arranged recently, because who's going to represent LPFT if we do stalls to talk to people about benefits of membership and becoming a member? Because I'm very willing to go on the stalls and do this, but I do feel there should be a representative from LPFT. It can't surely just be down to the governors to run these stalls. And anyway, you need 2 people to bounce along the conversations, and just in case you get the odd tricky person, which we did in Boston, surprise, surprise. So there were just 2 points that I thought, looking at the actions.
Thank you, Carol.
Just picking up, sorry,
on,
just picking up on that, Carol, that it's not just Boston that you might find tricky people, and that this is a public meeting, and tricky people are all over the county. And yes, I'm in full agreement with you that we should have at least 2 people as a team to help, because being on your own can be quite lonely when you're manning those sort of events. Thank you. Amy.
Thank you. So in relation to your last point, Carol, I think we need to look at where the detailed membership breakdown stats following the cleanse of the database. And then I think you're right in terms of we need to prioritise and review who's going to these events, what events we're going to recruit our members. So I'll give that some further consideration in terms of how we do that and engage with our governors. In terms of your first point, thank you for raising it at the event. And yes, absolutely, to talk into it more if you're happy to at a future session. We have got some resources, so I'll link with you outside the meeting in terms of sharing those and talking about it a bit more further.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Right, so no more questions. I'll move on to item 3 and bring Jo Walker back in for the participation team activity plan.
Sorry, bear with me. I'm trying to multitask over trying to produce the meeting as well as talk now, so just bear with me a second. Thank you. So Jo Walker, Head of Communications and Participation. This is a refresh look paper. At the last meeting, I talked about that the paper has historically been just an update from the participation team, but over recent years, there's been lots of involvement work and co-production work happening across the organisation in various different roles and teams. So I thought it was a useful opportunity to start trying to bring that together a bit more collectively as an organisation rather than just what my team were doing. So there is a bit of a different look and feel to it this time, and I'm welcome to take feedback on if this is helpful in terms of a focus. But just generally over the last 3 months, which this period kind of looks at, we've continued to obviously run our regular lived experience reference groups. There is a list in the paper of the ones that currently exist, and they are now brought together under our umbrella Council of Lived and Learnt Experience, and that's something that the Trust has introduced over the last year to feed into the Quality Committee, which brings together all of the different regular group lived and learnt experience, groups across the organisation into one forum, so we can bring collectively together any of those trust-wide issues that might be coming up in those groups, and also as a way for the Quality Committee to kind of hear directly from those groups, but also feedback in terms of anything that we need to look at trust-wide that we can kind of use those different perspectives for. So there is a list in the appendix of the document of some of the updates for each of the groups of what they're all working on, and there's quite I know Michelle and Lou from the Every Voice group are on the call. They are one of the groups and they've been doing quite a lot. And I would just reference as well that both Millie from the Every Voice group and our Building Together focus group have just recently been shortlisted for the East Midlands British Care Awards, just recently for co-production. So I think that's a really big achievement and focus of where we are with our involvement work at present. The other things that I've included now are some one-off project work that we've been doing across the organisation, where we don't have a group that's kind of going to be carrying on longer term, but where we have specific pieces of work that come up, that we do some short-term involvement co-production work, whether that's through generic surveys and public surveys, or whether we do focus groups or wider involvement information sessions. So some of the things happening at the moment include obviously the Norton Lee building, which is the new acute wards in Boston. Our Building Together focus group that I referenced has been carrying on to do the work with that, and that will hopefully be finished and handed over to us as a building imminently this month, ready to be opened in the spring to patients, and we'll be doing lots of opening days in March for people to go along and have a look at what that is as a new space for our patients. Ashley House is a new step-down service that we've recently opened in Grantham, and we've been working with Turning Point, who are the organisation that are running that on behalf of LPFT, to do lots of information events and kind of and start talking about how that service could look and work in the future. Kate Sutherland, who is our Quality Improvement Lived Experience lead in the organisation, has been leading a piece of work to co-produce a language charter, which will be a guide for staff on how to use caring, compassionate, trauma-informed language, some preferences in terms of certain words that can put our service users off, or kind of maybe they don't understand, and just a general awareness of how we communicate with our service users and carers, so that there is a reduced miscommunication. So that is a piece of work that's just coming to an end at the moment, which we hope to launch internally with staff in the new year, and obviously we will share that with governors for awareness as well. And quite a lot of work you'll see from a quality improvement perspective around risk assessments, care planning, reasonable adjustments, where we've got lots of focus groups and things happening, specifically looking at those areas of work that our lived experience lead is running, but we have been welcoming people to be part of focus groups around those pieces of work. The other big piece of work that's just started, but is going to continue certainly for the next 18 months, is we've just started some governors will have heard through Council of Governors, we're starting to do a piece of work with all of our clinical services to review if they are as effective and as efficient as they can be. That's called Productive Pathways. And as part of that, as part of the early stages of that, in terms of the information gathering that the teams are doing, we're doing some open public surveys, to gather patient experience, and where teams don't maybe have a reference group attached to their services currently, we are trying to gather people's interest in joining or becoming part of a group and setting a group up. So for instance, we've got some surveys out at the moment around our learning disability and autism services, which are trying to gather that initial, what do people think about the service as it stands at the moment, but also would they be interested in being part of a working group, reference group going forward, as those service managers start looking at what those services could look like in the future. So both those surveys are open until January. So if you haven't, or you know somebody that might be needing to access those services or has accessed those services, please do share that survey, and we'll be hoping to set up the reference groups from the new year as well to help that ongoing conversation. And the other one I'll just flag is we've had to put out at the end of last week some information about some grant funding that's had to end with to a third sector organisation called Lincolnshire Centre for Grief and Loss, and we're doing some public engagement around the impact of that service potentially not being able to continue. So that survey is now live, but there's lots of information in the paper, so I'll stop there and just take any questions. You're on mute, Bex.
Thank you. It had to happen at some time. A comment from Carol: the involvement activity is impressive. And just acknowledging that ADT is having some network issues, but he is listening in and able to put things into the chat. So I will keep a lookout if you have any questions. Have we any comments or questions further for Jo Walker at this time?
I think just Bex, just to add, I think this paper is probably a bit more representative of the really broad range of involvement activity that we've got going on across the organisation. So hopefully that's been useful to actually bring that together into one paper for people.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Carol is saying yes, very useful. Thank you, Carol. Right, so we will move on to item 4 on our agendas. Bringing back Amy for the governor involvement opportunities in service developments and the forward plan of activities.
Thank you, Bex. So this report details the future meetings, events and opportunities for governors to get involved in over the next quarter. I would draw particular attention to those meetings that are listed in bold, so they're the kind of must-dos for governors wherever possible, and I'd ask people to confirm their attendance or send a formal apology to me if needed. But that's all on that one, thank you.
Thank you. And just a comment in the chat, Debbie's left us or is about to leave the meeting. So I just wanted to say to everyone before, and as Debbie's leaving us now, a Merry Christmas to everybody and a peaceful and happy New Year. Carol has a comment. I don't want to cause more work, but timings would be useful.
Yeah, I can add those on for next time, Carol. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. So moving on to item 5 on the agenda, the ILOG report.
Thank you,
Amy.
Bex. So this report provides an update on the outcome of the 2 ILOG entries that have been submitted since the last meeting. Updates are detailed in the report. So the first one is around the awareness of dementia diagnosis processes and how they can feel for individuals, and reflections on the follow-up care. So the response for that one is currently with the Governor for review. And the second ILOG was around an idea to introduce a business card style resource for governors to use when they're out and about for recruiting members. So there's a really small screenshot of the thing we've developed inside the report, but we will be more formally launching that in the Governor's Fortnightly tomorrow.
Thank you for that, and I'm in the process of feeding it back to the people that spoke to me with my ILOG. I will come to your question in a moment, James. Thank you very much. So going to item 6.
Sorry, Bex. May I ask a question?
Please do.
Yeah, Carol Hagan, Public Governor. Just connected with that last ILOG action, I'm just reminded, it just made me think, have we got any further with the redesign of the membership leaflet that we can give to members of the public to encourage them to join?
Yes, we do. So following I think it was Samantha Swindell, our previous Governor and Membership Officer, led a co-production group with governors. So we have got the updated membership leaflet from that exercise. So when I advertise the business cards on the Fortnightly tomorrow, I'll pop that on as well. And if anybody's got any further comments and tweets, we can add those in.
That would be great. Thank you.
Not wishing to interrupt, but I think Joe might have a comment on that.
Yeah, sorry. I know that my team have worked with the governors and things on that leaflet, but I think in light of the reduction as well, I think there is a piece of work that Amy and I have started having some brief conversations about, but actually I would like us to do a little bit more work. We've got kind of an interim update to it, but I think there's still more we can do in terms of the redesign of the leaflet as part of our relaunch of how we get new members in the future. So I think while we've got an updated version, I think there's actually probably another piece of work to do to improve that even more.
Thank you for that, Joe. So moving on to item 6, activity planning, Council of Governors agenda for the 22nd of January.
Thank you, Bex. So this is the draft agenda for the meeting of the Council of Governors, which is due to be held via Microsoft Teams. So again, on live events like we are today, on the 22nd of January, all the items from the forward agenda have been included. So hopefully it's what people are expecting to see.
Yeah, as most people will know, the 10-year plan was released this year with an opportunity for an action plan to come from that. If we can add some sort of an update from that to our Council of Governors meeting, and the need, specifically the need for governors in foundation trusts.
Yeah, I'll make sure we cover something off if there's an update to include, Bex. Thank you.
That'd be great. And a request from James Eckersley, our Rest of England governor, can joint governor and board directors meetings please have a Teams options for remote attendance?
So those sessions are held face to face due to the way that we run those sessions in terms of workshop kind of activities with the Council of Governors and the board. Unfortunately, there's not a option to hold them as hybrid meetings, so it would be a case of attending face to face if possible, please.
Thank you. Right, so we're to item 6.2, the Better Together update. Jo Walker, please.
Jo Walker, Head of Communications and Involvement. So as Amy alluded to earlier, this paper has some additional detail to what we would obviously normally do in terms of our update for the next issue of what content we're going to include. For those that have been governors a while, you will recall that we did a bit of a review of how we do our Better Together magazine just over a year ago, in terms of the frequency and format for how we were going to do Better Together moving forward, where we moved to one print issue a year, which was the summer to advertise our annual public meeting, and 3 electronic versions for each quarter to make a quarterly publication. In light of, we said we would do a review a year on in terms of how that was going, and also in light of the work that Amy alluded to earlier in terms of the reduction in membership numbers and trying to sort of see if we can reinvigorate and get members signed up going forward. Amy and I have had a bit of a conversation again in terms of how we could use Better Together moving forward as a recruitment tool as well as an information and news tool. But also, as it is noted in the paper, governors will be aware there has been a review of support services across the organisation, and the changing capacity of different things for within corporate teams has also changed. So what we're proposing going forward is, because of the numbers of members is actually reduced in terms of the number of people we would need to post and print copies to, we have an opportunity to increase the frequency of our printed magazines to twice a year, and we can use them really effectively within our reception areas and key locations across the county as recruitment tools, because they're really good in terms of showing the breadth of the work that the trust is doing, but also then has the membership application form in the back of them as well. So we're thinking by reintroducing a second print issue a year, we can update in key locations across the county and use them much more effectively as a recruitment tool as well as a way of which we communicate with our members. That would then be supplemented by a monthly e-newsletter that would go out, which would be much shorter than what our current electronic versions of Better Together would be, which would be much more about just summarising and bringing together communications we're doing elsewhere around our social media and on our website into one place that's regularly sent out as a summary to our members on a monthly basis. And that could involve all of the involvement activities that we're doing, and events and things that we're doing, as well as any of the kind of key updates. But we'd use our 2 print issues to do much more of what I would call in a comms sort of editorial, which is where we look at day in the life of, information about our governors and the kind of the governor experience stories that Rebecca talked about earlier. So actually we would increase the frequency and also have an increased way of promoting what membership is and what the trust is doing more broadly as well. So I'm actually here as well as to talk about the content for the next issue, which is in the paper, to ask for permission to move to that approach if possible, please. You're on mute.
I did it again. Can we have some yeses and y's and ends in the chat, please? People's opinions to moving to.
You're on mute again. I'll take that as a resounding yes for all the yeses in the chat.
Yes, let's do it.
Thank you, everyone. It's useful to know as well, actually, that still will be a cost saving for the organisation. That's one thing I forgot to say as well. Because of the reduction in the print numbers we will do, even with increasing to 2 copies a year, that will still be a cost saving for the organisation that we can look at either using towards us things or how we can use that differently in the future. So thank you, everybody.
I think some of the diagnostic centres across the county would be very useful places for our magazine, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to do a piece of work, piece of mapping work to where we currently do send to quite a lot of external places like libraries and obviously our reception areas within our trust, but we are going to do a piece of work around what other localities there could be without confusing the members of the public in some of those other NHS based organisations where obviously they are owned and run by other organisations, so we don't want to create confusion, but we need to have a look at where is the most effective way of us to strategically place them.
Thank you. Right, so we're already at item 7. Any other business? I've not been made aware of any other business. Does anybody have any other business they'd like to bring to this before I mention my quick one and we close the meeting for a nice cup of tea? I will take that as a no, and I just wanted to put it into our minutes so that it comes up and we start to restart this again. Some of our governors that have been around a little while will note that we've had sessions between usually 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 in the evening online with our non-executive directors and our executive board, and it's a good way of sort of getting to know them a little bit better, and it would be really good to get those dates in the diary for next year so that we can have as many people attend them, but also record them so that people have the opportunity to watch them back if they are still unavailable to come to them. So, but as I say, closing the meeting, I want to thank you for giving your time up this year. I want to also thank you for being a governor and being there for people in our community, and thank Amy for all her hard work, and Karen, who obviously can't be with us today. But wishing everybody who celebrates Christmas a happy Christmas, and I hope that the new year will bring all that you would want it to bring. So thank you very much, and
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Bags.
Happy Christmas.